Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and happy motherfucking New Year. Another wretched year is behind us, and now we can look forward to a hopefully better future. Now, I want to thank all of my subscribers for their patience as far as my consistency with my content this year. This has been, without sugarcoating it, probably the worst year that I've probably ever had. I had long gaps this year where I just had to take time for myself to fix myself, fix my mental health, get into a better headspace. But now, hopefully I'm back and better than ever. So let's waste no more time and get into the garbage I had to suffer through last year, and then reward ourselves with talking about the gems of 2025. Let's go. Now, as far as my worst of the year goes, I actually consider myself pretty fortunate to have only seen these little few bad movies that I actually did. But on the flip side, some of these were the absolute worst that plagued our screens this past year, so woof. My unlucky 7 is going to be Flight Risk. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was actually pretty excited to see Mel Gibson return to the fold with something smaller scale and more against type to his usual big Oscar-winning epics. I was actually pretty interested to see him tackle something like that. The premise sounded cool, and the trailer actually looked really cool. The trailer actually really sold me on this one. But this movie just didn't deliver. I thought the first half hour was very promising and was really living up to the trailer. And the acting overall is decent for the most part. And plus, Mark Wahlberg was consistently entertaining throughout the whole thing, at the very least. But the movie as a whole just was really let down by these, I can only describe as these very Shyamalan-esque type choices. Like, I'm talking bad Shyamalan. Like, this really feels like something Shyamalan would direct. Only without the either really brilliant or really stupid plot twist that he's always known for. And then you add in a bunch of really stupid character decisions, as well as a really anticlimactic ending, and you get this. Unlucky 6 is gonna go to Elio. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this movie was so forgettable that I'm struggling to even think of anything to say about it right now. Which for Pixar, that's really saying something. Now, the most that I can say in this movie's favor is that the movie does look good. I mean, it's Pixar, of course it's gonna look good. And there are some interesting, unique character and alien designs that I remember a couple of them. But this is Pixar. To turn out something this forgettable and bland is a crime in my opinion. Is it worse than something like Turning Red, Brave, or Cars 2? No, not really. I guess in a way I would watch this over some of those other ones, but the characters weren't interesting, and a lot of the tropes they went for were tired and stale and felt above Pixar. Like, they're usually above these kind of cliches, so that was really disappointing. Just, ugh. Thank Christ we're getting Toy Story 5 this year. Getting a real Pixar movie. Unlucky 5 is going to Fixed. Much like Mel Gibson with Flight Risk, I was actually pretty excited to see Gennady Tartakovsky do something a little bit different compared to what he's usually known for. But unfortunately, the final result is just pretty much every tired, overdone sex comedy cliche you can think of with little to no innovation. and hardly any jokes. Like, if anything, if this movie was at least funny, I could have maybe given this a little bit of a pass, but not only were some of the jokes too uncomfortably crude for me, like, I'm not a tough sell when it comes to comedy. I'm not one of those whiny, sensitive ass bitches who gets offended over the smallest things. But it just wasn't funny, and the characters were really, really bland, and not even the top notch voice talent could save this script. And the unlucky number 4, The Strangers Chapter 2. Now, I did not like Chapter 1 whatsoever. It was just a tired, uncreative retread of the original film, posing as a prequel. Yeah, sure. Bullshit. So when they say that they're gonna do a trilogy, I'm like, surely there is nothing left by this point for them to rip off from these already really mid movies. Well, they gave us something, alright. It may not have retreaded anything specifically from the other Strangers films, but they didn't give us anything good in substitute either way. The entire plot of this movie, if you can even call it a plot, just consists of the main chick who survived the previous film either on the run, outrunning the killers, or anyone she comes across, her being suspicious of them, all paranoid, thinking that they're all in on the killing somehow, and then running from them, wash, rinse, repeat. Oh, and she fights a big giant boar in one scene. For some fucking reason. And on top of that, this movie commits a huge chunk of its runtime going against the entire point of why they're called the Strangers. Yeah, let's give them an origin story. Let's show how they met, why they kill. Yeah, you got a real understanding of what made the original really chilling, guys. Bravo. Kicking off my bottom unlucky 3 is War of the Worlds. I'm really struggling to call this War of the Worlds, by the way, because this is about as faithful to the source material as this version. Yeah, I went there. Now I understand that for some people this was so bad that it was funny. It was utterly hilarious. It made you laugh. And I won't lie, a couple really bad moments in this movie made me laugh too. But I gotta be real, as a fan of the book, of the source material, in name only crap like this really pisses me off. This movie bears no resemblance to the source material whatsoever. Nothing down to the opening monologue that's so famous, to any of the character names from the book, or any particular iconic famous incidents from the book. Nothing. Not even the ending, with the aliens being killed by the tiniest creatures that God in His wisdom put on this earth. At least this version had that. It had that ending, right down to the T. And even then, that's the only resemblance that had to the source material at all. When this movie is not totally butchering and misunderstanding the source material, it's just a pretentious, cringeworthy wank fest for Amazon Prime, thinking that they're all that and that they're the saviors of the universe. Get fucking real. And poor Ice Cube, man. I don't blame him for this at all, but I don't know what the heck he was doing in this movie. Every single line he had felt like it was being read off of cue cards. Like it was the first take. But then again, like I said, I don't blame the dude at all. No one could make this broken concept work. Not even Spielberg directing and Nolan writing it could you make this idea work. Oh wait. Spielberg did make a War of the Worlds adaptation. And it's totally awesome. It rules. And it's actually faithful to the source material. Never mind. And what could the unlucky runner-up possibly be? Smurfs. Now keep in mind, aside from the Lost Village film from 2017, I haven't liked anything Smurfs, like, ever. And believe it or not, this might be the worst offender. Yes, worse than the live-action films. Instead of going full quadrant and making a movie with real characters, a real story, and ideas that can entertain both children and adults alike, this movie chooses to pander to the mainstream, to only the little kiddies, with dance numbers, and cringy music, and pop culture references that'll age like spilled milk. And what's even worse is that this movie pathetically tries to cash in on the already way overdone multiverse concept. Now, if it looks like that I've been intentionally leaving anything on a story and character level in this video as a footnote, don't be angry. This movie was just that forgettable. It may not be the absolute worst thing I've seen all year, but on a pacing level, it was genuinely the most painful to get through. Now you must be thinking, if Smurfs was the most painful movie that I had to get through this year, what could possibly be worse than that? Well, I know who can tell you. The Woman in the Fucking Yard. Now, at first glance, when looking at the trailer for this one, it certainly looked like the forgettable Blumhouse outing of the year. Well, I'm never gonna forget this one, alright? Although I really fucking want to. And the thing is, this movie could have been, well, maybe not great, but it could have been a decent exploration of grief and overcoming suicidal thoughts. If overcoming those thoughts was actually the fucking message. Yeah, you want to know what this movie's actually about? So it turns out, with this mysterious woman in black figure that's sitting in their yard the whole time, slowly getting closer and closer to their house as the movie progresses, and it's building all this intrigue. What is this? What's going on? It turns out that this whole time, that this woman in the yard is a supernatural manifestation of the main character's suicidal thoughts, because she lost her husband in a car crash some time ago, and she's consumed with grief, and, that's all well and good. Like I said earlier, this movie could have been a decent exploration of grief and overcoming suicidal thoughts. But what happens in the end? She's all convinced that, her kids' lives will be better. They'll be better off without her in the picture. So it's heavily implied at the end, with a lot of actual visual evidence, that she gave in and killed herself. Blumhouse, come here for a minute. How do you go from having this powerful scene in Halloween Ends
Did you really think I'd kill myself?
to then this shit? To quote Will Ferrell in Step Brothers, what the fuck happened? Did you really think that this was a message that would be good and positive and will leave a good impact on people? Now, I've had suicidal thoughts. I'm not proud of it. It's not something that I like to admit, but I've been there. I know what it's like. Now, if you're going to take it upon yourself to tackle subject matter as heavy as this, actually fucking tackle it. Suicide is a subject that deserves your time, care, and respect. But all that aside, with the year that I've had, The Woman in the Yard is also my number one worst of the year because it encapsulates just the year that I had in general. All of my struggles with my mental health, people in my life that I've lost. This was just not a good year. It's a year in my life that, aside from the good things that I've had, that I do not deny, it's a year in my life that I would just rather leave far, far behind and never look back on. So for all those reasons, Suicide in the Yard easily comes in as my worst of the entire year. And that is going to do it for my worst of the year video, ladies and gentlemen. Join me next time where I get to reward myself with the actual good stuff that I got to see this year. We'll get to talk about real movies. I want to thank all of my subscribers for their patience. And if you're finding me for the first time and you like what you see, like and subscribe if you want to see more.